What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. We have just made it over to Dairyland Seed here in Wabash, Indiana. We got a split load today. The other half of this load is also Dairyland Seed, going up to, I believe it's like Jamestown or Janesville or something like that, Michigan. So we gonna get bagged in, get these 9 unloaded, and then we'll only have 6 left. Would dump the airbags on the trailer, but this place is, their docks are weird, so if I do that, he's not going to be able to get in and out of the trailer. All right, y'all, just like that, got our paperwork unloaded, a couple minutes. Got to put our new address in, and I think I need to move that one box in there, and I need to throw a strap over it, and we can hit our road and head up to Michigan. We're filthy. I'm trying to get the truck washed at some point tonight. I got a new airline box put in over the weekend, and 2 weekends ago I did the mud flaps on the trailer, so now we got mud flaps all the way across. I did something a little different when it comes to the weights, as you guys can probably see. I did 2 different style weights just to be a little different. I did have all lines, all the same ones, but I decided I wanted to be a little different, so just trying stuff out. But 3, 4, 5, I thought I was supposed to have 6 left. No, because he did 4. Okay, that makes sense. That makes total sense. He didn't exactly load it the way I told him to, but I guess since he loaded it this way, we should be all right. Because I was realistically supposed to have 1 single left on its own, but since he loaded it 4 singles in the front instead of 3 singles, which I believe he probably did that because of the way this load is. So props to him for thinking about that. All right, let's hit the road. We got like 2 hours. We'll be up there like 2 o'clock. And then after we unload, I lost the freaking mud flap weight. Huh. Interesting. Looks like I'm losing that one too. I'm gonna have to cut these mud flaps a little shorter. Anyways, that's why I got the cheapo mud flaps. These aren't like the rubber mud flaps, they're the plasticky mud flaps. The reason why I did that is because I'm testing out lengths, and that's the reason why I'm doing it. So therefore, when I go to buy more expensive mud flaps, I know exactly what length I want them, but I'm gonna have to cut those shorter. But anyways, we'll be up there like 2 o'clock. 132 miles. It is getting hot in here. 132 miles, 2 hours on the dot for the most part. Get up there. But after we unload up in Wisconsin, keep saying Wisconsin, up in Michigan, we will be empty coming back to Indiana and picking up in what was it, Plymouth, Indiana, the same place that I went for my emergency load that I have to pick up. We're going back there again, loading up and bringing that back to Normal, and then we load out of Normal and go to Litchfield plant and unload there and go home empty as far as I know right now. So this is supposed to be a 2-day load. So it's probably going to end up being a 2-day load. It just kind of depends on what time I get down to Plymouth and if they got the load ready. Because if I get down to Plymouth early enough before they close and my load's ready, they'll go ahead and load it tonight. So I may go ahead and make the trek home, but I highly doubt I'll make it to Plymouth before they close. So the plan is there's a Love's right across from the plant, and I will just go there for the night, or depending on, like I said, what time I make it, I will just go to a plant and sleep at the plant, sleep on site, and be the first truck to be loaded in the morning, which I have no clue what I'm taking back. I believe it's empty boxes, but I could be totally wrong. But we'll find out as we go. We'll find out as we go and get it all done like we usually do. And hopefully try to get back loaded tonight. Hopefully. I don't know how far Plymouth is from the place I'm going now, so I won't be able to find that out until I unload. Well, I can find out now if I really wanted to, but we'll find out once we unload. And just hopefully we'll make it in enough time to be able to get loaded, because I'm already running like 30 minutes behind because I had to get unloaded early this morning. Brought back some empty boxes from Cedar Rapids that I held over the weekend. So we'll see what happens. But 2 hours to go. We'll be in Michigan. Alright, y'all, we made it. It's not a place that I thought it was gonna be. Expecting like a huge warehouse of some sort, but apparently I was wrong. get my paperwork. We can go check in with these people. Try not to lose it at the same time. Oh.
How we doing today?
Pretty good, yourself?
Not bad. Thank you, sir. Give you that one back.
Okay.
If you take a step back towards the door, you can look down this way.
Mm-hmm.
You can see I got 2 orange posts.
Yep, the ones over right here?
Yep.
Yep. Back in there.
Straight up towards the cornfield, back straight in.
Okay, thank you.
Slide your back tandem to the back, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, it's a spread. So, yeah.
Well, enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I was not expecting this place to be on 5 miles of dirt road, but I guess this is one of those situations where I can say I'm happy that I didn't wash the truck or trailer over the weekend. But like I said, was not expecting 2 miles of dirt road, but because I was expecting like some paved out warehouse, because what it said Dairyland Seed, I didn't satellite it. Anyways, I didn't satellite it because I was expecting, like I said, a warehouse of some sort. Which, I mean, technically this is a warehouse, but I was expecting, you know, off the interstate, paved, all that type stuff. But it is what it is. I'm used to it by now, so everything's still looking good. All right, let's get backed in down there where the mulch poles are at. Get unloaded and head back to Indiana. Making sure you have cool. And making sure it was gonna move, because sometimes this thing doesn't want to move.
It was a little bit funny when I was trying to do it at first. I'm like,
All right, y'all, just like that, unload it. Literally took 2 minutes because those 6 boxes and 2 people unloaded me. So just doing a quick little walk around here, making sure we're good to go for our next 2-hour trip down at Plymouth. I think we're good to go. So, we gonna do the things. 2 hours and 20 minutes. We'll make it down there right at 5 o'clock, which kind of sucks. I can't remember what their dock times were down in Plymouth, because I don't know if they switched from the off-season hours yet, because realistically they might be open, because they might be 6 to 6. But realistically, I'm not too worried about loading tonight, because it's not really going to make a difference if I load tonight or load tomorrow, because I can't. Well, I mean, technically I could deliver this early tomorrow morning, pick up early tomorrow morning, then I'd be done earlier tomorrow. But either way it goes, I plan on being there for 6, even though my appointment time is 7. I don't know. I had to figure it out one way or another. But I can say, with this place being on a dirt road, at least it's hard packed dirt and not loose dirt. So at least it's not, you know, all over the place. throwing dust all over the place. It's all hard packed, so it's not too bad, but like I said, I'm just happy I didn't wash the truck over the weekend. It's nice back here though. It's beautiful back here. Once I actually got off the interstate and started taking back roads to get back up in here, it's nothing but, you know, back roads lined with trees all the way down both sides. It's definitely beautiful back here. If this is one of those places where, you know, I drive the truck through and I was like, I'd really love to have my motorcycle right now to ride through some of these places, some of these towns, but it's very beautiful back here. I didn't come in this way. I came in, I went around because I came in through this way and I seen this road was dirt, so I was hoping maybe the other side wasn't dirt. So I went down and around and came back that way and, you know, found out it was dirt all the way through since I've never been out here before. So when it comes to doing, I don't know if I've told you guys that I'm not doing Pioneer seed. This is Dairyland seed, which comes out of Remington seed, which all intertwined since which way or another, because there's like, I don't know, like I think I counted like 15 different companies under the Corteva brand, and Pioneer is one of them. So I take care of, Jesus Christ, I take care of all of those. So, which keeps me busy for the most part, but I take care of all of those seed brands, so it's all pretty much the same stuff. I can't see, nobody's coming. But this is all Dairyland seed that I just delivered, and then we're going to a Pioneer plant to pick up to take it back to normal. So, and then we'll be delivering in normal, picking up in normal, and going to the Pioneer plant in Litchfield, Illinois, which is down by Springfield, Illinois. Delivering there and turn around going home empty, as far as I know. Like I said, I haven't gotten anything for Wednesday yet, so I could be preloading in Litchfield. I could be having to go back to normal to preload, but either way, as of right now, that's all we got. So I'm still kind of fighting with them on a pay issue right now, because I didn't get paid at all last week, which is unusual for that to happen. So they owe me quite a bit of money right about now, because they didn't pay me last week and then I worked last week, so they owe me like a lot of money. So been handling emails all day, trying to figure that out and waiting on certain people to respond, and you know how that stuff goes. So because it's pretty much to the point if I don't see a payment come through for some of my loads from the 14th to the 18th by the 1st of the month next month, there's an issue, a huge issue. So, but besides that, we're gonna get this trip over with, get down there, so we can call it a night. right, y'all, time lapse a little bit. We delivered at normal and reloaded at normal. I'm gonna say now, sorry for the wind noise. It's very, very, very windy today. As you guys probably, I don't know if you guys can see my field mileage down there or not, but it's a very windy day. I'll pop up a thing from the weather today, but it's very windy. But we're here at the Road Ranger on the other side of Springfield, Illinois, about to get some fuel and head on another couple miles down the road to unload in Litchfield. And then turn around and go back to normal, and then we got a preload tomorrow, today for tomorrow, and go to Remington, Indiana, and I'll be running back and forth to Remington, Indiana. I don't even know what pump I'm on. 27, 26. Yeah, 26. I'll be running back and forth from there for the rest of the week. But it's the cheapest fuel that I'll be passing today, $3.17. Truck's filthy, but the only reason why the truck's so freaking filthy is because I looked at the forecast before this weekend, and it's supposed to rain like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I was gonna wash the truck and get it all cleaned up, but it was kind of no point in cleaning the truck and getting it all washed and spending $100 for it to stay clean for like 2 days. So I think it's like 30-mile-an-hour winds or something like that today. I know it's freaking ridiculous. I do have some things to talk to you guys about. Things that have been frustrating me lately. Now, I didn't upload last week. And there's some reasons for that, but I don't know. Just a lot of things have been weird to me lately, I guess you can say. My mental really hasn't been right lately. I've been feeling sluggish, and it's almost like I'm feeling that wall. You know, when you're moving a lot and got a lot that you're trying to do, and you got goals you're trying to meet, and this and that. You know, every now and then you hit that mental block, or that mental exhaustion. And that's what I think I'm kind of hitting, or I have been hitting for the past couple days, and still kind of going through. And I've been trying to figure out ways to kind of get through it. I mean, this is not the first time I've gone through a mental exhaustion, but this is probably the worst it's been in a while. Like, I was at the shop this weekend and only had a few things I had to do. Like I said, I finally put my stainless box in for the airlines and stuff up here, and did all the little small things and checked over the truck, but like I was just dreading every bit of it. And that's really not like me. Like, I wake up on Saturday mornings and go straight to the shop, get shit done, stay out there all day if I need to and get it done. But I ended up having to call it an early day. I was just hitting that mental block, and you know, it's not fun. You know, I don't want to seem like I'm some, you know, superhero or anything like that, you know, just because I make YouTube content. So, you know, we're all human. We all go through mental blocks and stuff from time to time. And, you know, I've just felt exhausted, and my goals just feel like they're getting farther and farther away as I go. Like I said, I'm dealing with that. I haven't been paid in 3 weeks right about now, and we'll get into that once I get back in the truck and we start driving, and I'll get more into, you know, my mental block and how I kind of navigate my mental block and get over it. But yeah, it's been a stressful couple weeks, but we getting through it slowly but surely. Like I said, work's coming in steady, so You know, I'm not really complaining money-wise besides the fact that I haven't got paid. But like I said, now that I got all the information on why I haven't got paid and everything else, which I'm not the only one, it's pretty much everybody that runs this stuff right about now hasn't been paid for a certain reason. But like I said, we'll go over all that stuff once we get back in the truck. But we're gonna finish up getting fuel. We'll get up out of here so we can make our trek down to Litchfield, and we'll get unloaded. All right, gotta get our receipt into my ELD so I can keep track of my IFTA stuff. But fuel mileage has been crap today, and gonna be crap tomorrow too, because it's supposed to be just as windy, if not more windy tomorrow than it is today, and it's already ridiculous today. But just luckily we got empty boxes on, so I'm not as heavy, so I'm not burning as much fuel as I could be. But on our way back we should be good, because the wind's blowing north, so at least we'll have the wind at our back on our way going home. Well, going back to normal to reload. All right, let's get back to it. We probably got another, I don't know, I'd say 30 minutes at max, something like that, to get to Litchfield. But let's talk about mental burnout. You know, it's a real thing. Some people experience it more than others, which I don't experience it a lot, but it is something that I go through from time to time. And but I've been just struggling with, like I said, you know, it feels like I'm to that point where it feels like my goals are just getting farther and farther away from reach. You know, I set a lot of goals for myself, not just, you know, large goals, but, you know, I set small goals, big goals, you know, small goals to get to a little bit quicker, and, you know, the bigger goals, which are pretty much the ultimate picture of what I want to get to, depending on what type of goal that is, or what that goal has to do with. But it's been tricky lately, dealing with that and dealing with work and trying to stay, you know, true to myself and not trying to bring other people down around me just because of the fact of I'm going through something, you know. But when I go through my, you know, mental wall or mental block, most of the time I just know what works for me is I have to slow down. You know, I'm trying to do too much at once, and it's making me scatterbrained. It's kind of what it's doing. And that's never really a good thing, especially trying to be out here on the road and focusing on what you're doing to try to do your job as perfect as you can and everything else. So, you know, you want to try to have as much of a straight mind as you can. So being scatterbrained out on the road is not the best thing for you, but that's kind of been my thing. I've been thinking about this, thinking about that, and figuring out how I can fix this, or how I need to do that, or what I need to do to get to the next thing. And, you know, it's rough, but like I said, what works for me is I need to slow down. I need to kind of cut back a little bit. You know, I'm not saying I need to just kind of drop everything and, you know, completely go lazy, because, you know, that's not the type of person I am. You know, me, I need to just slow down. You know, some things that are, you know, something that I can't control, or something that's farther away as a goal or anything like that, you know, I need to not really worry about too much of those. I need to cut back and worry about what's in front of me and what's, you know, happening now, rather than, you know, what's going on, you know, in the future. Because that's one thing I've always been a person that thinks ahead of time. I'm always thinking about, you know, what I need to do to get this, you know, in X amount of years or X amount of days. And I think in reverse, in a sense. You know, this is where I want to be in X amount of days, X amount of years, X amount of months. And then I think backwards of what I need to do to start making the steps to make it towards, you know, that goal, or, you know, whatever it have be. But sometimes, you know, you can hustle as much as you want to hustle. You can hustle as hard as you can, but sometimes you have to listen to your body and listen to your mind when it's time to cut back a little bit. You know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, trying to be that hustler, trying to go get it, trying to be the go-getter, but sometimes, you know, you're doing it too much. You're putting way too much effort into it, and you're either missing a lot of things, or it's causing a lot of chaos in your brain. So, you know, as much of a lot of us preach it, especially on YouTube, you know, you got to go hustle, you got to go get it, but you also need to remember that you need to take time for yourself, for your own mental sake. But with that being said, now we'll move on to the next subject. So I haven't been paid in going on 3 weeks now. So the company that controls all of the logistics for Pioneer is kind of dropping the ball on a lot of things, which they do drop the ball from time to time, but it's never been this bad. And the thing that kind of makes me the most, like, really pissed off about it is that they didn't tell anybody what was going on. They just kind of go through some things and then try to fix it and like it never happened. So I found out that pretty much every single load from the 14th through the 28th there's some discrepancy with every single load for every single carrier from the 14th to the 18th, from the 14th to the 28th, which has to do with the fuel surcharge. So apparently, from what I was told today, they're making it their, you know, most biggest priority to try to get this all figured out and everything else so everybody can get paid, because, you know, the first of the month is on Friday. It's currently the 29th. So in 3 days is the first, and a lot of people have bills that they got to pay on the first, including myself. And, you know, I have ways to get around, you know, certain things that I need to do, and have, you know, a decent enough savings account to be able to, you know, take care of things. But the thing is, you know, trucking is a revolving door, and that's what a lot of people and a lot of companies don't understand. Is when it comes to trucking, it's a revolving door. Money comes in, but as soon as that money comes in, it has to go somewhere. There's always somewhere for the money to go. If it's not, you know, just a savings account, you know, you got maintenance, you got fuel, you got IFTA, you got, you know, your personal bills. So, you know, truck knows, trailer knows, whatever you have. So they don't understand that. So as soon as there's a pay issue, they don't really care enough to expedite the process so people can start getting paid, because they think just because we're out here driving a truck that we got so much money that it doesn't matter if we get paid, you know, the next following week or not, which their pay terms are between 5 and 10 days. But the problem is, well, their pay term is between, we get paid 5 to 10 days after the load is delivered. That's cool, because most of the time they normally end up paying sooner than that anyways. That's just the way it's always have. The 5 to 10 days is just kind of a cushion for them to be able to be like, well, if there is an issue, they got 5 to 10 days to fix it. Well, The 14th was, what, 12 days ago now? So they're already outside of their cushion for that. But, you know, it just doesn't make sense to be able to drop the ball that bad to where every single carrier that pulls this stuff is now not having been paid for 3 weeks and still out here running loads. Like, I got loads for the rest of this week and I think all of next week now. And I'm sitting here looking at, you know, all the money I'm spending and all the money that I'm pulling out of my savings account that's not returning. So now I'm starting to get a little bit mad because my savings account is dropping below the minimum of where I like it to be. And I can't really control it because I have to keep pulling money out to be able to, you know, pay for fuel, or if I got a maintenance expense to get a part and this and that. And I've had a very expensive month this month when it comes to maintenance. You know, I had to put new drums and new drums and new shoes on the rear axle of the trailer. I had to replace a tire on the trailer, and a lot of other little things that all added up. And then I had to pay off the steer tires. No, not the steer tires. I had to pay off the set of drive tires that I had got last month. So, you know, I spent every bit of, you know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 this month just on maintenance. So, you know, I'm seeing all this money moving out, but no money's coming in, and that's when I start to get frustrated because now I feel like I'm working for free, and that's one thing I don't do. There's not one thing in this world that I do for free for the most part unless I'm helping out a friend. That's just, you know, push come to shove. You know, if this truck's moving, this truck needs to get paid, and that's the only reason why I work for Pioneer, because when my wheels are turning, I'm getting paid no matter if I'm empty or loaded. But with me not seeing paychecks come into my bank account, it's not very pleasing to see money come out and not money coming in, you know what I mean? But, you know, you got to adapt and overcome in these situations and do what you can to get through it, because I know, you know, at the end of all this, once they get all this crap figured out, I'll get a lump sum payment of all the money they owe me, because they owe me a lot of money, like a lot of money, like a ridiculous amount of money. So I know I'll get all that at once, which will help me be able to put the money back in my savings account and distribute it wherever I need it to be. So, you know, you kind of got to look at the good and the bad, but, you know, it's still kind of frustrating, you know, working for a company as big as Pioneer is, and a company as big as the company that handles all this logistics stuff for us, go through stupid little issues like this. You know, there's no reason why they should be going through this bad of issues, and it seemed like it gets more and more recurring, more and more often. You know, it's not like it happens from time to time. It seems like every other time I get an email saying that they gotta, you know, look at another load because there's a mileage discrepancy on it or something like that. And then now it's more, now when it's just like me, when it's just like one load and it's under one carrier, they'll send you an email. But this one, you know, it's been 3 weeks and every single carrier hasn't been paid, and it's like they didn't send out no mass email saying like, hey, this is what's going on, this is why you guys haven't been paid. They just kind of didn't do anything, so nobody knew why they weren't getting paid. So it's kind of a ridiculous situation. But we got a little bit to go before we get to Litchfield. We gonna get down there, get unloaded, start heading back so we can get reloaded. And I got a couple things I got to do tonight. I got my motorcycle for sale, and I got a guy coming to look at it tonight, because I bought a brand new motorcycle, I think, what, 3 years ago now? Yeah, 3 years ago now. And I've only put like 1,300 miles on it since I've had it. So, and it pretty much sits in the corner all the time. So I figured, you know, instead of having a $40,000 motorcycle sitting around doing nothing, I can sell it and use that money elsewhere. So I got to get that done tonight. So we got to get our butts on down here, get unloaded, get back, get loaded, so we can meet him out at the shop. I can get that situation figured out with him, and yeah. So it's been a crazy couple weeks for me, you know, like I said, dealing with the payment issues and dealing with mental issues. But you always got to look that the grass is greener on the other side when you're going through things, and things can always be worse. Alright, y'all. You see, we made it over here. It's the next day, getting unloaded. But this is where I'm gonna end it. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Check out Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all that stuff if you want to communicate. Merch links in the bio. Amazon links are in the bio. I got more merch stuff coming soon. Dabbling in some other little things here and there, so we'll see what we can make happen. But yeah, thank you guys for rocking with me like always. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.